Alright, so in these examples, we're going to be talking about the selling price, the cost for creating something, and the estimated number of cells, and also the possible profit you could get from that. So here is the general formula we'll be using in these examples. Now, depending on what information we have, we could work the problem differently. So you want to make sure you have that formula in your notes. So here to start, we have ATCE Learning Center wants to make a net profit of $840,000. So they want to make $840,000. So they're hoping that their possible net profit will be $840,000. It goes right there. Okay, on the manual it sells to schools. Okay, the fixed cost of producing manuals are $620,000. The variable cost per package are $18.45. Now notice we don't have anywhere in our formula that says variable cost per package. All we have is a total cost per unit. So we're going to have to do a little work here. We know our variable cost is $18.45, but we don't know our fixed cost per unit. We know our total fixed costs. Okay, we come down here and it says the estimated unit sales are 1,540,000 units. So here's our estimated units in our formula, goes right here. But again, we're not done yet because we need to find our total cost per unit. So what we want to do here is first we have to find the fixed cost per unit. So what we're going to do is take the total fixed costs. That's our fixed costs. Remember the word per means to divide, so we're going to divide that by the total units that we're selling. Okay, so the total fixed cost, it said we're 620,000. Divide that by the total units sold, and they're hoping to sell 1,540,000. So we start with that, 620,000 divided by 1,540,000. Okay, when I do that, I want to round to the nearest cent, which is 2 decimal places. So I get 0.4025, or I round that off to 40 cents. Okay, so now let's find the total cost. Okay, total cost per unit would be the 40 cents for our fixed cost that we just found, plus the variable cost, which it said were $18.45 a unit. So we take our $18.45 and add 40 to it, and we get $18.85. Now we can use our formula. Okay, it wants to know what is the selling price. So that's what I don't know. That's my X. Subtract the total cost per unit we just found was $18.85, and then it's going to be times the 1,540,000. Well, let me change ink color here so it looks a little different. I'm going to cut this part off here for a second. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. We have 840,000, that's our expected profit, equals X minus $18.85 times 1,540,000. We want to solve this for X. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 1,540,000 to get rid of that was multiplied there. Because of the parentheses, I can do that, as long as I do it on both sides. Okay, when I do, I'm left with 0.5454, and it goes on from there, equals X minus 18.85. I want to solve for X. I have minus 18.85, so I add that to both sides. And that gives me my answer of 19.3954 5, but again, we want to round to the nearest cent, which is 2 places after the decimal. That 39 would round up to a 40. So I get $19.40. So again, in a problem like this, if they don't give you the total cost per unit, you'll have to find that first. Then substitute in the values into your formula and solve for whatever is missing. We're going to do some more examples. So Snappy Gifts wants a net profit of $44,500. So where is that in our formula? Possible net profit right here, $44,500. On its new glitter gift bags, the fixed cost for producing the bags once again is $162,000. The variable costs are $1.18 per unit. If the estimated sales are $395,000, what's the selling price per unit that they should try? Okay, so again, here we know our estimated sales are $395,000. We don't know the selling price. I'm going to call that X. We also don't know the total cost per unit. We know the variable cost per unit and we know the total fixed cost, but we need to find the fixed costs per unit so that we can find our total cost per unit. Okay, so everything has to be in per unit. Okay, so our fixed cost per unit, we take our cost of $162,000, divide by the number we're going to sell. Their estimated sales is $395,000. So we're going to divide by 395,000. Again, cost is dollars, per means to divide. All right, when I do that division, I get 0.041, so it's 41 cents is the fixed cost per unit. Let's find the total cost per unit. That would be the 41 cents we just found for the fixed cost, plus the $1.18 for the variable cost. That gives us $1.59. Okay, so our total cost per unit is $1.59. Let's bring all of that information down here and so we can solve for what they wanted. So again, we're using our formula that said the net profit, which they want it to be $44,500. Is equal to the selling price, we don't know what that is, minus the total cost per unit, which we found was $1.59, times the estimated number of unit sales, which was 395,000. We go ahead and divide by 395,000 on both sides, and that gives us X minus $1.59 equals, so we go 44,500 divided by 395,000 is about 0.112. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll go round it to 0.113 because that next number was a 6. We want to continue solving for X. We had minus 1.59, so to solve we would add, and whatever you add to one side, you also have to add to the other. So we have $1.59 plus 0.113 gives us 1.703. Now we want to round to the nearest cent, which is just 2 places after the decimal, so that leaves us with just $1.70. So again, it was a long process, but if you go carefully one step at a time, it's doable.